two separate. What's those two? One's princess. One's that's gonna right. That's what I thought you might.
I got you.
I gave him a heads up.
Perfect. Thank you. Don't let anybody be surprised by that.
Yeah.
Clinton's I gotta call him in. He's on the road. I was gonna call in from the basketball game, but I figured that was probably frowned upon.
Is it a home game tonight?
Yeah, against West Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. So boys' game should be a good one.
Sandy,
Hey Andy, can you hear me okay?
I got you, yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Must be about 6:59 now. Good, how are you?
Gary, congratulations, Dan.
Thank you. Everybody keeps saying that, it's just a bunch of debt stack.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You still no shortage of work?
No, there hasn't been any of that.
All right, call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I'll change it.
And I would take a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll move on to visitors to be heard. If there's any visitors that would like to speak on anything outside of the stuff we've got later, the Main Street discussion and all that, you can step up to the podium. Seeing none, we will move on to the minutes from December 19th, 2024. I see, the time is wrong. It started at 7, not 7:30.
Oh,
Is Kyle's name spelled right on this one?
there's a really good chance it's not.
Okay.
This is the mistake I often make. How does it spell?
I-N,
Yeah, it's wrong.
okay.
So we got Time and Kyle's last name,
Not a big deal.
except for the fact that it keeps happening.
Can you like change your autocorrect to recognize? when you screw
Yeah,
up?
it's a pretty Norwegian autocorrect. I like to spell Christensen a certain way.
Anything else?
I recommend a motion to approve as amended if you could.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, Kyle.
Building update, we had 194 building permits in 2024. We had 136 residential, like remodel type permits. 47 of those was, and we had 47 new construction permits, and that included both single and multifamily. And we had 11 commercial permits. We haven't received any yet for 2025. Tomorrow, we got a twin home coming in, but other than that, I've been working on catching up, trying to close out 2024, any remaining ones.
Good year.
Best year we've had.
Then I got the 2024 versus 2023 building permit values, as well as for the whole year for each year. Any questions on that?
Almost doubled in residential and 24 times on commercial.
Yeah. This is, I counted up what we've had since Countryside was opened up in 21, sound right? And with the 2 twin homes we got today, that make 108 new housing units permitted in less than 4 years.
Yeah, 21.
Good. Good.
As for my code enforcement update, I just had 2 parking on grass violations since our December 19th meeting.
Can you give an update on that, please, a second? What action we take, and is there any action on it?
Okay. Update on property on East Second. Currently, the owner currently has a building permit, and he's been having some issues lining up contractors to finish the work. Hopefully they have that done here in the next month or 2.
Is that on the north side of the road,
Nope,
east of Cherry?
about halfway between Cherry and
Yeah.
Highway 17.
Okay.
It's a pretty well-known issue there that we're trying to get resolved, piece by piece, really. Tackle the toughest stuff first, but we haven't really seen much action yet, so.
Yeah, his building permit actually expired, but kind of working with him to try to complete it. The deck looks like it's about ready to, the porch roof looks like it's about ready to collapse.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I moved to town, I thought it was could be a cool old house, but it just keeps going the wrong way. Going the wrong way. Any more questions? Thank you, Kyle. Let's go to new business. Letter A. Preliminary plan, lot 7A, Stakes Edition. I did not see Derek.
So Commissioners, this application comes to us from Derek Road. So if you're unfamiliar with this area, this is just north of Westerman Park and on the east side, so where Winsong Court, I think it is, Winsong Place, dead ends. That's where this project is designed for. So if you look at through the preliminary plan, that's all been submitted according to our standards. You'll see existing conditions as well as design improvements. If you have any questions on that, Mitch can probably speak more to that than I can. Obviously, when one of these comes in, it's reviewed by the city engineer for accuracy and compliance with our design standards and subdivision regulations. So that first letter of that attachment is city engineer's recommendation for approval. We recommend the same.
Did, and it, I mean, it really probably doesn't have much to do with this, but did all the right-of-way stuff get figured out on the rest of Windsong Place?
It's been dedicated, but the ownership stuff still needs to be ironed out.
Yeah.
We've run into some challenges with getting that done at the courthouse, so.
Is there gonna be any problem hooking into stuff?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We've obviously accepted that infrastructure and dedicated it for public use. It's just a matter of getting the official records wrapped up at Lincoln County, so.
Is, that one existing building gonna stay kind of where the proposed detention area is? And then there's like a gravel dirt path there?
I don't know what their plan is for it.
Yeah.
I wanna say
So-
they're,
The existing building straight south of the furthest east house, south end there, of Doherty's house,
Yeah,
that one, I believe, stays. And then the one that is further to the east, that Quonset hut, that is scheduled to be demolished.
Oh, that says that.
Yeah. Big C.01, C.01.
and that's a normal size cul-de-sac
Yeah,
in there?
yeah, I think everything they've laid out meets the standards. The only, deviation maybe is they requested, let's see if it shows up. The sidewalks to be curbside, similar to what they will be on Windsong Place, they'll be curbside there as well because of
Yeah.
the right-of-way restriction. So we thought that was acceptable. You can see that illustrated on the last page,
Yeah.
G01. It's not ideal always having a sidewalk curbside because it just creates issues for snow plowing and whatnot. But again, that's talking to everybody, because Windsong Place is likely gonna be curbside there, that's the plan. Just didn't see an issue with continuing along there.
So is there gonna be I suppose there's parking like gonna be allowed in the cul-de-sac even with approaches and all that?
There would be, yeah.
You're not gonna have a whole lot.
I'll say there won't be much room.
Those are, I mean, on those bulbs, there's not a whole lot of frontage, so.
With driveways in there, it'll be a couple little 6-foot sections of curb, probably.
I just look at like, yeah, the property line, sidewalk, curb, street, like there's. But I mean, yeah, there's nothing you can do about with the right of way being so narrow.
No, if you look at how deep, like lot 2 is going to be, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room when you factor in setbacks either, so.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you were to widen that bulb out, I think you'd probably
In case you lose the ability to build a house.
make a challenge.
I think our biggest thing, so I mean, we should just walk through, this is kind of step one, if you will, of a few steps for them to even build anything of this. The next step is for them to do their engineering, their drainage calcs and things of that sort, which doesn't come to this board, but it'll come to us for review. That's probably our biggest concern is just the drainage. We know that the neighbors have expressed that as well. And we've had several conversations with their engineer just on how they're gonna approach, this drainage. If you go to E.01, that kind of illustrates what's happening there today with the existing drainage. So you can see there is some low-lying ground there. That blue area is kind of what's low-lying in that area today. And when houses go in there, you know, that'll be filled in. A lot of times that water gets pushed elsewhere. So I know they're working with the landowner to the east still to maybe buy some more property and, or maybe build some of those facilities on that property. They're also talking to the school about, making that detention facility to the north larger to try to take some of that additional runoff that's coming from this site. So they are investigating those options, and there'll be more to come, as they move forward with their plans, I guess.
Just note as well, if the planning commission does recommend this for approval, it'll be with the city council on Monday night for their consideration as well.
So the detention pond on the south side, so that's just like gonna overland flow to the southwest and out onto Elm Street?
Yeah, it is pretty basic what they're showing you right now. They're planning to do a swale for, they can, if you're looking at that E.02, you can see that lot 1, they're proposing that to drain towards the school's detention pond, because that's what they can get there. And while expanding that facility to handle that extra area, and then channeling lot 2 and this lot 3 to a proposed detention pond somewhere in that quadrant. They are also exploring though, doing a, not a detention pond, but it's more of a holding pond, I guess, in the rear of that property, on the property, with the property owner to the east. That would kind of mimic what's out there today. Cause the only trouble here is there's no storm sewer outfall. We don't have storm sewer in this area, so they don't have an outfall readily available to them, so they're looking at doing,
Detention?
yeah, more of a French drain kind of system, which would act very similar to what it is today, until the city can get a storm sewer system up there someday.
Cause it seems like the property to the east kind of collects at the pond on this proposed lot.
Yep.
Both of them, but.
Yep. And so they're contributing to
To
that
the
area.
load, yeah.
So, that's why they sold this ground to them, so they've got a relationship there, so they're working with them to try to gain some more space.
Look at that. Like if the detention pond did go there, I mean, the overflow is through the gravel path and out on the elm there. I just look at that house on the corner, it's not really on the corner, but it's,
North of that access.
yeah, it's just that, I mean, that house, just looking at like the contours, I mean, it just looks like it would, I'm not gonna say flood it out, but I mean, it's just, whatever the rain events would lead to, the amount of,
If
How much would it
if the
encroach on the
detention
house?
overtops, you mean?
yeah, well, yeah, the detention, I mean, the detention's gonna overtop, I mean, cause they don't have anywhere to send it,
Right.
and it's gonna go that direction, so I'm just looking at that house and,
And that's kind of what's happening today already. You know,
Yeah.
this ponded area that's naturally there already is filling to a certain level, then it's overflowing towards Elm Street. It's just when they start displacing it, then they just need to.
it's basically not sending more that
Yeah.
direction, basically, yeah, that'd be.
And so that's what we'll be watching for on the next submittal, is what those contours look like, what those overflow elevations look like, making sure that it meets the standards that you guys have. If there's any issues, that way we'll be, talking with them and communicating back to them.
So that access from Elm will stay there, I presume, I mean, looking at it.
Yep.
questions, or I would entertain a motion.
I move we recommend approval of the preliminary plan of lot 7A Stakes Edition.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to the vibrant commercial Main Street conversation.
Commissioners, this was an item that was tasked to the planning commission by the city council last fall. Just a kind of overview of the purpose of the discussion was to look at some issues that were noted by the city council and things that we've actually talked about in here as well. Whether we're looking at vacant storefronts that once held the business and no longer, some inconsistent land use and incompatible uses. I've certainly been through that with a couple of variances and conditional use permits that may not line up perfectly with what our ordinances are. You know, how that usually comes to us is somebody buys a property and starts running a business and finds out afterwards, yeah, you can't actually do that in that zone. So at the October Planning Commission meeting, we had a brief discussion on some of those noted issues. And then the direction was given to staff to schedule a conversation with property owners. So notice went out, I think in November, and several reminders in the past couple of weeks of this event here tonight. So we've got a number of property owners here for the conversation. I think before we get into that discussion, just helpful to have a planning and zoning overview in terms of what the purpose of planning and zoning is. I think it's somewhat typical to hear that planning and zoning is here to ruin an otherwise good day for folks that are trying to use their properties, and that's not. I mean, that may sometimes be the effect, but that's certainly not the intent of what planning and zoning is all about. What it is about compatible land use, community health and safety, community vision, orderly growth and development, protecting property values, and that's all property values, just not a specific property, and overall economic development. So. I think we kind of figured this would be a fairly informal conversation, so I don't know if it's something where we simply want to invite people to come up to the podium and speak, or if we just want to start discussing a few of these questions. I've got a few questions on there for you to start off with, and I'm sure it'll lead to additional discussions. So some of the things that I think we can look at tonight are talking about challenges that property owners, business owners have being on Main Street, what kind of policies we need to look at creating or even doing away with to help create that vibrant Main Street. What are the needs of the property owners? How do we go about identifying current land use? I know Kyle's put together a list, but some of them we simply don't know what's happening. We don't know if property is being used as just general storage or if there's an actual business operating in it or not. And then what is the role of zoning and code enforcement in the conversation? We have the authority to take certain enforcement steps as a code enforcement official and zoning administrator, but we know that that's not always the most effective way to come about bringing change. We try to use that fairly sparingly on the zoning side because it's just better to have a conversation first and try and figure that stuff out. So I'll open it up. Chairman, I don't know if you have a specific way you want to run this, or just start opening it up for discussion on one of these questions.
Yeah, I think we could probably just open it up if anybody has any comments they'd like to make, or questions, or anything.
Typically, we have folks come up to the podium, but I think this is we want to keep this an informal conversation. I think we're fine with discussions.
What is really meant by vibrant? It sounds like a good word, but what are we really looking at for an image of what that represents? What's the image?
I would say it's not necessarily an image, it's more of being able to provide things for the people in town that they would like to patronize, where in the past we have had, and it hasn't really happened as much recently since COVID, but in the past, there was always calls to the, like LADC. I don't know if there's anybody here from the LADC.
Jobs here.
Okay, but in the past, there was
Hey, Dad's here too, very nice.
calls, there's been
I
calls
just saw that
looking for
Sorry, guys.
space on Main Street, you know, to run a boutique or a little coffee shop or something of that.
Has a needs analysis been done? I mean,
Yeah, we had,
captive community,
Wasn't quite done with my comment, but.
oh, I'm sorry.
And so there wasn't places for them to go, you know, so people just kind of stopped trying to come to Lennox. And, there's been a lot of buildings that just sit, you know, I don't know if their windows are black and, you know, but you don't know if they're empty or somebody's living in them, or if they're just full of, storage, you know. There's places where businesses could go, but we have shutters on them, you know, so it kind of makes an uninviting Main Street where people don't want to do business.
one of the, so, I don't know if anybody was here when we did the, Billy, you might have been on, you were on council, we did the LADC visioning sessions with Water Resources. Held a couple of sessions, I think, Brett, you came to those, I don't know, were you on yet? You might have just been on.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so we did, some visioning sessions with, Dakota Resources, he does a lot of rural economic development work for towns our size. And, we had, you know, a couple of sessions where it was, you know, throw the idea up on the wall, what are we missing, what do we need? And, downtown businesses came up over and over and over. And, you know, it's certainly one of the things that we see, you know, when we get folks that are interested in, being in Lennox, we've had, you know, folks that wanted to be downtown, they wanted a restaurant downtown, and no one was willing to, sell or lease or even entertain the idea, quite frankly, so. It's one of those challenges we run into, but I'd say that one of the big takeaways from that visioning session was having a downtown that's active and has services and businesses to provide people, with their needs in town.
I guess what I was getting at, it's like, I've been in business and retail for more than 30 years. I'm just about retired from Southeast Technical Institute, you know, I was in the business department, I was on advisory boards more than I wanted to be. So about every few weeks I was on another meeting. And we did nothing but develop ideas for careers and stuff, but we worked closely with the business community. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is you have to have foot traffic, or you have to have traffic to really meet the needs of the business owner, because the local community, especially if it's small like ours, statistically probably doesn't have the resources to fund that patronage. It takes a little more outside scope. You know, you need some external sources of income. So you would have to have people coming to the community, or at least driving through it or something like that. Example is when the highway projects went through small towns and they were going to grow bigger highways, they said, oh, we don't want the highway coming through town. All those trucks, it's going to drive everybody crazy, we're going to have accidents, won't be able to cross the street. So the highways bypassed the small towns, and within a year, they're all dead. They lost most of their income because of traffic. The traffic and that driven visibility. You know, you're moving along, you see a store, oh, that looks cool, let's go and look it out, check it out. Or you go to a different place, maybe you go to Mariachi and you see another store and you go to that. But there has to be that traffic, there should be a statistical study that at least researches and says, okay, we have enough traffic to become this vibrant image. And I don't know if it is or not, I don't have a clue, but I'm just saying, there should probably be a study done and say, do we have the resources to provide enough patronage to the local businesses? And if there's something that wants to come, would that also apply? Like you said, a boutique. So, say you open a boutique, it's gonna have a really good surge for a month, 3 months, maybe 6 months. And then it's gonna dwindle down. That's just a normal statistical business fact. Once people get used to the place, they either keep going or they don't. But everybody goes to experience it the first time, so you get that honeymoon phase. So what happens? And, like, how is mariachi doing? That would be a good indicator. You put that in a study. Or how are their sales doing? Are they meeting the needs of the community? And is the community meeting their financial needs to survive? Example, Jaron did the coffee thing. He actually worked for Elon Musk. He had this vision of having a coffee shop in his small hometown. So he comes in and sets up a coffee shop. Does really well for a while. And then, after about 9 months, it dwindles down. And then he runs basically a loss Monday through Thursday. Does great Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pretty good. But it wasn't statistically enough patronage for him to survive. So he had to seek a job elsewhere, and now he only cooks coffee beans on the weekends and sells beans. So he had to reduce his business image. Now, we want to grow Lennox downtown, and we have an image in our heads. We all have a different image, I suppose. And we want it to look inviting, welcoming, and we want to have stores that are useful to the community. But where's the research saying that those businesses can actually survive?
Well, that's the whole thing, is it's Lennox. I mean, we only have so many people, I mean.
Right, we have a fixed group.
Right, exactly, and so like Brett's saying, if you have a vacancy, I mean, say a coffee shop does wanna go there, but there's also a boutique, I mean, well, I have a wife and she has a mom, and they like to go shopping and they like to go get coffee at the same time. I mean, instead of going to Sioux Falls, they'd love to do that here in town. It's like, I think it all builds off of each other, and it's like if there's multiple vacancies and you're restricting the opportunity for those things for somebody from Centerville or somebody from Davis or somebody from Vibrant or Hurley that wants to, hey, let's go to Lennox and go to those things. I think that's like the whole discussion that we're looking for is like, how do we encourage that? It's like, yes, Lennox only has so many people, and yeah, there's probably not enough patronage. I mean, the Red Barn, I mean, Chuck's, I mean, it's changed owners multiple times, and yeah, it's maybe not like a long-term thing, but like Chuck's, they invested a lot in the property, and to me, it's kind of become a staple. El Mariachi's become a staple. I work in Madison sometimes with their city, and even they are saying they drive down to Lennox to go to El Mariachi when they're in the area. And it's like, I mean, it's incentivizing.
Right, that helps bring in, because you're expanding the traffic. What do they say? Location, location, location. So.
And if we have a shuttered up Main Street where we don't give people the option to try and fail, we're not gonna know.
Yeah, it's like
So-
the whole, the market doesn't get to decide at that point.
Yeah. And I went to the Maple Drip. I make my coffee at home because I'm cheap, but I went there and I enjoyed the food, and at a certain point, something changed. I'm not gonna get into what, but the food changed and wasn't as good, so I stopped going. And that's not because I wasn't willing to support him, it just wasn't good enough to pay $10 for a burrito, And that's not because the city wasn't willing to support. It's when you have a business, you have to maintain a standard, If I went to Dave's and have got my oil changed there for 100 years, and then instead of putting oil in, he started putting antifreeze in, obviously people are gonna stop going there. You know, it's not necessarily that people aren't willing to support, it's when businesses decide to fail on their own, kinda. And I'm not saying that's what happened there, just could be. I'm sorry, I just happened to look up.
new guy.
Or if you go to the bank and, you know, they start charging 25 cents a check, you know, you're gonna maybe look at a different bank. It's just, when things, and that's just, as part of doing business, things change and that happens. But right now, we're just saying, and that's why I used to have my office on uptown here, because it was a building that was available when I moved to town. I had my office there, and I decided it's really not the best place for me to have an office. You know, it could be better used for something else, so I moved down to something that was more fitting for a property owner office, you know? And so I moved down off of the central business district to try and open up a space. And they've had people looking through, and hopefully someday they'll find somebody that'll fit good on Main Street. You know, talking with the LADC, I've heard rumblings of a chain restaurant, not restaurant, fast food we'll call it, that's very close to coming, you know. There is interest in Lennox. We're just trying to talk about the best way to get it appealing to those businesses. You know, we're not trying to shut anything down. We're just trying to have a discussion and figure out the best way to go about making our town better.
Well, what I'm saying is that if you want a business to come to Lennox and be on Main Street, you should have at least some evidential facts that say, look, you come to Lennox and this is the type of markup you can expect to have, your margin of gain, you know, things like that. Let's say the boutique, right? Say you have the boutique. Are you gonna sell used clothing at a normal markup or at a high markup? And if I go to the dollar store, I usually discover that the markup's pretty high to compensate for the area. And so I have to make a judgment call. Am I gonna go to the dollar store or am I gonna drive to Walmart? And that's what happens with small towns. When I come from Worthington, Minnesota, it's a very small town, almost identical to ours, just a tiny bit bigger. It's based around a lake.
Worthington is way bigger than Lennox.
Yeah, but it looks exactly the same wherever you drive, though. Yeah, it does. Except for the lake. You take that lake away.
That Walmart looks pretty different.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, here's what happened. So,
Smithfield plant.
the mall's gonna go up, and downtown, it was interconnected, cool. The buildings were interconnected, so you can walk from one building to the next. It was fantastic. The stores were booming. Mall comes, and stores downtown say, oh, that's not gonna affect us. Well, instantly, they're all dead, except for the niche stores. All the niche stores did great. Because in a small town, a niche store, something that's unique, survives because they're offering something that's a little more interesting. It's not like if someone went to a boutique in Worthington, downtown on Main Street, it would have been awesome, and there were many. And then the mall comes, and boom, they're all dead, except for one, and the Stag eventually went out of business, but
Is
having information to provide a business person would be very helpful. I mean, it would be like,
And I mean, that's something that we provide information that's requested, but no business is asking for us to complete their market analysis for them.
well, it would be, you should have enough numbers to provide them at least something. I mean, you have businesses in Lennox, you should be able to go to them, you know, can you tell us how you're doing? How are things going? How can we make it better for you? And then take that and then apply it and then say, okay, if someone wants to come to Lennox, this is what we're gonna tell them we can do for them.
That is exactly what we're doing here right
Right.
now, is that's why we want all the businesses to come, and like, we talk about Main Street, and how do we improve it, and set like maybe some type of vibrant standard of like aesthetic, appeal to it and how to engage more traffic downtown and to up those marketing numbers. I mean, there are numbers, we did the comprehensive plan just about like the age ranges within town and the
different demographics.
yeah, the different demographics within town and the census of how many people there are and what people want in town. And we did, I guess, our own self-marketing a little bit, and it's increasing those marketing numbers. And I mean, it's a small town. I mean, nobody's gonna expect like a Subway. It's like, what's your guys' market analysis of Lennox? I mean, well, Subway's probably gonna be want to be near the highway, but it's like for us, I'd want it near downtown so that people are driving through town rather than driving around town. And
But what you're talking about there, that's great input, you could tweak that, and that could actually be very nice, a little pamphlet to provide to businesses, you know?
The elephant in the room. The elephant in the room. We've got buildings sitting there empty that they won't sell or they want too much money for. That is the elephant in this room right now. That is the problem. When you go down Main Street, there's buildings there, but either they think they got gold or they won't sell it. That is your problem with Main Street. There, that's the elephant in the room. Get it
I
out.
guess I haven't,
Get it out. That's what it is.
I haven't
We've tried to buy property on
heard
Main
of
Street.
that.
We've tried to buy 3 different pieces of property on Main Street and they won't sell.
Not even a regular.
I even told him, give me a harebrained number. No harebrained number. Not even off the wall, too much.
Experience with Elmer and us here as well.
Yep.
And that's where some of the discussion comes
That's
in.
the elephant in the room.
And that's where some of the discussion comes in that we've had in the past, you know, they've had on city council, we've had where there's towns that have ordinances where if you're not using your central business district property as intended, there's fines or,
Like what town?
Centerville was that.
I called Centerville, they haven't used that.
they
They
have,
haven't enforced it because they grandfather everybody that's there
Oh,
once they sell, then if they were to sell.
Oh,
it's
if they
downtown
were to
numbers,
sell.
Yes, and
Okay.
the same thing I would think would happen here too, but, yeah, it's in there.
yeah, I called them and they said they haven't enforced or used it at all.
but that's why we're having a discussion. You know, do we just continue to let things go the way they are, let buildings rot away until they're gone, and then we can just push them in and build something? Or do we try to figure out a way forward?
Has anybody contacted them and see how they could help them?
You just said most people don't wanna talk.
No, I mean, not buying them out, I'm just saying, hey, what can we do to help you
Again, that's what tonight was for.
Yeah,
get the business going? I mean,
Most of them are empty. Yeah,
LADC
most of
has,
them are empty buildings. There ain't nothing in them.
LADC has approached me and they've been very helpful.
I'm on a LADC and I've approached them trying to get them to sell and they won't sell.
yeah.
They won't even talk to you and the buildings are empty.
aren't there incentives with LEDC, like, like grant programs? I mean, the past 2 years, hasn't there been like a certain amount of money that they give to businesses or residential properties
Any
to?
business in the central business district can apply for a 50% grant up to $5,000 for their facade.
Yeah,
Yep, there's been,
that's a
But
great
that's just
program.
like temple
facade, it is
insurance.
nice.
Yep,
And I appreciated, I used that and I appreciated that very much. But that's just the facade.
It is a step in the right direction, though.
It is.
If that's, you know, something that a business owner is struggling with, it gets them up to their ordinances, because we do have an ordinance too, you know, for businesses to have signage posted and that kind of thing too, so it's a step in the right direction.
Oh, yeah, I think beautification is definitely the first step. I'm just saying, what are the other steps? I mean,
I think to answer your question, and I'm new here, so I apologize. But
Speak up.
if you want to see the heartbeat of a community, look at the school. The school is growing like crazy. And if the school is growing, then obviously there's a need in the community for businesses. And I get what you guys are saying with Main Street. I'm guilty, I drive home same way every day. I don't go down town for anything unless I need to be down there. But what you're saying, we need to drive businesses Cause Main Street, I've been here 20 years and it has gone down and down and down and down. And we lost the bakery, we lost the grocery store, we lost that stuff. It's just, in a business, if you park 2 cars, it looks like you're busy. Now people come, Main Street, there's nobody there, and it's like, what's going on? You know, what's happening? So, to answer your question, I guess what I'm thinking of, what you're putting down is, where's the study? If we build it, will they come? Well, they're here. We just gotta figure out a way to give somebody, a small business, an opportunity. And I'm assuming that's what we're doing here is, hey, what are some ideas to get some businesses opportunity? How many people are at the bank, at your bank?
6,
Okay, how many people work at the other bank?
probably 6 or 7.
So there's 12 people, where do they go eat lunch? Well, right now we have one option, other than Casey's for quick food or the other gas station, you know? So there's opportunity there. In the summertime, the Dairy Queen there, it's busy all the time. You know, you gotta time out, oh, we want ice cream, well, we're gonna go at 2 o'clock, because if we wait till 4, we're gonna be there forever, you know? So, and
It's a
those
good
are just
problem.
things. It is a great problem, it's awesome. I love driving by and seeing that place packed, you know, and the other restaurant in town, I love going there and having to wait to get seated, because it's just a good thing, and we've needed it for many, many years, so, yes, I think the opportunity is probably here, we gotta find a way to make it feasible for that boutique, for that, whatever business wants to come to Main Street, hey, there's communities all over, hey, we'll give you a piece of land if you build a house. You know, and I think that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kinda, I'm sorry, I don't know your name back there.
Me?
Yes,
I'm Dan.
Dan, Brett, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Like Dan.
We usually listen to Derek.
Oh,
Yeah, Derek's my boss.
okay. Like Dan was saying, you know, people want so much money for their buildings that people can't afford to even try and open anything. And like he said, it's way overpriced, you know, to what they're getting. And they're gonna fail before they even start. And that's where the LADC comes in, and they're trying to work with people to be able to, instead of someone needing to buy a building, if they owned it, they could lease it to somebody at a reasonable price to help get them going. You know, kind of with Mariachi, you know, they are currently leasing just to help ease the burden up front to get a business going. And so there is actively things going on trying to make it work. Josh, do you got any more input?
I mean, we have our building downtown, that's the one open building. There are a couple for sale, but like you mentioned, and it's been a point that's made that buildings just aren't moving around downtown right now.
Anybody figure out why? It sounds so bizarre.
Yeah.
Too expensive. Who wants to buy a bar for $450,000?
What's its property value at?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You go in there and buy a bar for $450,000. You're $450,000 in the hole, and you start the day you turn the key.
That's before you fill the shelves with liquor.
Yeah.
Needs upgrades and remodeling.
Yeah, it needs upgrades
It
and
does.
remodeling and.
There's $600,000 in the hole.
Yeah, before you even turn the key.
I don't know what bank will give you that kind of money.
Yeah, that's the other, yeah, who's gonna give you $600,000 by the time you're said and done? What bank is gonna do that for a new business?
Did they go out of business?
Yes.
You mentioned 3 that went out of business.
The one that, no, the grocery store never went out of business, they moved.
Oh, okay.
And the bakery, they passed away and they couldn't get it sold. Nobody picked it up.
Normal stuff,
Yeah.
but nothing bizarre.
And no reason to
Was
I
Flowers
want
by,
my opinion by the way the bar shut down.
Lauren, was Flowers by Bob downtown for a while?
Yes,
They were.
Yes.
I bought there.
That's right. Like, what are the challenges, I mean, other than buying a property to bring more businesses downtown, but like, what are the other hurdles to like bring people downtown to like specific businesses? I mean, other than bringing more business, like what is the challenge of bringing them there?
like a reason why somebody might not want to go downtown? Is it the aesthetic? I mean, is it I don't think there's accessibility issues. You got Boynton and the highway, I mean.
And parking is pretty,
Yeah, parking's not an issue.
compared to some other towns, we've got pretty good parking.
Several people come downtown because that's where the post office is. Several people come downtown because their banks are there, or the gym. I mean, we've got a lot of people that come to the gym. And so people are traveling downtown. But as for staying downtown too, they're not, because there's no place to go. You know, after, you can only do business at the bank, to get your mail, go work, get your workout in, fill up the gas, and then.
You don't see very many other people out and about either, so there's not that serendipitous running into the same people every Saturday morning.
Yeah, there's not a coffee shop to sit down and, you know, socialize or whatever. But
Well, I'm old enough to remember when Sioux Falls downtown sucked. It was bad. And they pulled themselves out of that. And now, I don't even remember what it was like, but I remember it was bad. But now I go downtown Sioux Falls, and it's like, well, this is cool, look at statues, you know. You just take my mom and go on the statue walk.
So we need a sculpture walk?
The sculpture walk, yeah.
It's not bad on Main Street, I mean, don't take it as totally bad, I think there's opportunities for growth there with some of the buildings that we got sitting that are being used. And the question is, how do we get them buildings used? I think that's the question we gotta ask. How do we get the buildings that are sitting with nothing in them right now used? What do we need to do to get them used? Because, trust us, the more that you guys got traffic on Main Street, the more gas we sell. So we want that traffic on Main Street. I mean, be selfish.
options to look elsewhere on the highway.
Yeah, you be selfish, you can say we're selfish or whatever, but kinda are. We kinda want that business on Main Street, we want them people driving up and down Main Street to swing by Dave's and get gas. So what do we need to do to get the buildings that are empty full? I don't have that answer.
I think the
That's the
vacancy thing that Centerville has, I think is a really good thing, 'cause I mean, I know Sioux Falls has that, I mean, it's Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
But it does incentivize people like not sitting on their business and only paying property taxes. I mean, I imagine they probably owned them for a long period of time, that's why they haven't sold them. I mean, Beamer's is, they haven't owned it that long, but I mean, there's not a lot of incentive to get rid of their business either, so they're just waiting for the payday.
Using Sioux Falls as an example, there are blocks that I wouldn't walk downtown in because they weren't occupied at a certain point in time. So the full occupancy gets more foot traffic, makes it more inviting to be at. So I think one of the goals is to outline, like, what period of time during the day do you want that full occupancy? Do you want it booming?
That's a really good point.
Booming all day long, or?
That's a fantastic idea right there. When?
You don't see a whole lot of cars in the evening.
Right.
You know, tonight is gonna be a busy night on Main Street because you're all here.
And
Outside of that-
taekwondo.
Oh, I got taekwondo too. But outside of that, I mean, you're really only looking at special events during the day. Or parking spaces, you got probably 70% of parking spaces available, so.
Yeah, because 8 to 5, people are working, and not shopping, unless they're at home and that's just they're free for that.
Or they're working downtown.
Yeah.
Or they're working downtown, yeah.
Maybe it would help a little bit to talk a little bit about what, are there main streets that you know and remember, whether from Lennox's past or other communities that you think, boy, I kind of like the way that community has figured it out.
I've always liked Centerville's Main Street.
I love it. They do events, they have.
Well,
places
and the
that
one
fit
end of it,
everybody.
it's got the median in the middle with the flowers and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Yeah, that's
always
cool.
loved that,
Yeah.
when you drive down there in the summertime and it's all blossom and beautiful when you go down there and they get.
Oh, Dan, you like
So
flowers.
Dan, you wouldn't mind a landscape boulevard on Main Street?
I would not.
So would you sacrifice center parking for it though?
But do we have to do it down Main Street or can we do it
Like on North Main?
on North Main when we redo that
North
North Main?
tracks,
So like Madison has a really, Egan Avenue is their main street. And that's like basically exactly what it is. It's like, you can have it on the north end, it's like got a median down and trees down and it looks really nice, and you get downtown and they got
Yep.
And that's your
wide
entrance- that's your
sidewalks.
entrance.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly
You know,
what's
you,
over there.
you look at North Main off of Point, and that's, well, we last did our traffic count there, I think it was 2,500, that was before Point was done, that was before we redid it. So you think of how many vehicles go past Point and Main every day, that's a lot of vehicles for a traffic site.
And the right of way is super wide. It's 100, at least 100 feet. I mean, so it's like you can fit a lot in 100 feet because we got tons of parking. I mean, if you lose center aisle parking, I mean, you can do more landscaping on the edges. But
What business resources do we have for students? We got a big, like you said, that it's growing, there's a big base, there's a financial, opportunity there.
We've been out to the school several times and talked to guidance counselors about trying to get kids to come down and work for us, and
Now, that's a tough nut,
yes.
I've been down that road.
but I mean, like, that's one thing that Chuck's is.
Yeah.
You go into Chuck's, there are high schoolers working there, and it's awesome. It's like, good for them working
It
there.
is.
That's
We've got
awesome.
a great junior achievement program that works with the school and
Yeah.
helps provide some of those business acumen resources.
Well, what businesses would students go to after school? What would be a good business? Would it be like a coffee shop, or, they drink coffee like they're crazy. They love coffee.
Prior to Pizza Ranch closing, there was a little coffee shop on the west end of it, and kind of an ice cream and coffee shop.
How did you?
That place was busy all the time.
See, that's what I thought. I thought a little coffee, ice cream shop, exactly what you said, would be a great business opportunity. Because you have the student body, and they're free, they have that moment in time between school and I gotta be home. And they're gonna go out.
Let's face it, where are you gonna put that at? I'm not gonna put it on Main Street, I'm gonna put it out by the school.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, we're trying to do Main Street here. Sorry. I mean, if I was gonna, that's a great idea, I think it's a great
Okay,
idea
take
for a
it
great
back.
business, but if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna put it out by the school, so when they walk out of school, they go,
Well, there's a tiny bit of Main Street
I was gonna
there.
say, it's technically South Main.
Parker's got a really nice coffee shop downtown too.
yeah, they do.
Oh, and I substitute taught at Parker, and those kids go there 24 hours a day. They come to school between classes, whatever, I don't know how they sneak out, but they come in and they got a Frappuccino or some kind of ice cream coffee thing.
That's only a block away from the school.
Yeah, and
And
they're,
it's also not just a coffee shop, they also, it's kind of like a boutique coffee
Yeah,
shop. So like
yeah.
a crafty home decor.
It is
Yeah.
So
really
they've
cool.
got both incomes coming in, because again, like you said, I don't think coffee shop alone, they could survive. But by selling that way, they can.
They're very neat.
So-
I think they do pretty well.
Yeah, they do, yep. And, but like coffee shops individually, with most of them, won't survive in a small town on their own. But if they have something in addition to it, whether it's antiques or crafty home decor or a boutique clothing, then they can make it happen. So,
Yeah,
and that's just it,
you'll have
where
one.
would they go? If we don't have a place on Main for them to go, to do that, if we don't have an open spot for them, where would they go?
I mean, going back to Centerville, that, whatever they're doing must be working. My wife and her friends will
They're
chase
pretty
down
good,
to
yeah.
Centerville on a whim just to go there.
Yeah.
So,
And they've got donuts that are only available certain months of the year, and they have people that'll go drive around.
Another one that's
Yeah,
got
that's right.
a great Main Street is Webster, South Dakota. Webster.
Yeah.
My wife and his wife, and they'll drive up there for the day to go shopping in Webster.
That's very similar look and feel to Lennox.
Yes, very similar to Main Street.
Yeah, it's size and
Yep.
like location is similar to that of Aberdeen.
Yep.
I mean, it's,
Yep.
it's all kind of,
Yep.
and you're just off the highway. I mean,
Yep,
it's,
just off of
Yeah.
12 there. They'll take a day and drive up there just to go shopping at the stuff up there.
But
But you
and
go
that's
on,
not on 12, that's on 25.
yeah, that's on 25, but the thing about it is, when you go down to Staunton, every business is full.
Yep.
There's something in every building.
Right.
I've often thought, like, the only one, if they would pick a night, Thursday night, do a steak night and just knock it out of the park.
That's like the Sonoma Grill in Canton, started very small, but yet higher quality food, higher price, and they grew, doubled in size within 2 years. You know, and it's, I mean.
We'll charge again for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I will too, yeah, it's very good, it's delicious, it's great service, absolutely. But where do they go? If they wanted, if someone, if a higher class restaurant wanted to come into town, where would they go?
Where they build.
Yeah, that's the other thing, even if you wanna find land, it's not available.
But you're not gonna build, let's face it, you're not gonna build on Main Street right now.
No.
So what you gotta do is you gotta take the existing buildings and get them occupied with, but again, that's kind of the
So there's
circle of this whole.
yeah, is that a carrot or a stick issue?
Yeah.
Do you incentivize economic activity somehow, or do you penalize the lack of economic activity? And if so, how do you, what,
Well, I think we tried to penalize one a little bit, haven't we?
which one?
Penalize trying to get them to, well, I guess that was more cleaning up the property.
Oh, yeah.
Than anything, yeah. Hoping that maybe they would, if we got on them hard enough to do that, they would send.
And something might happen there, and we follow up that building this week, so.
Well, it's finding like the line of, I mean, it's the whole parking a trailer on hard surface, you know, telling somebody what they can or can't do with their property type thing. I mean, people don't wanna be told, you have to do this with your property, but I mean, if it's Main Street though too, it's like, it's the gold. I mean, they think they got this gold property, and it's like, there's a reason that they think it's gold. It's because it's on Main Street. There's a core benefit to being on Main Street. It's like when the storage unit wanted to be built in the outfield of the ball diamond and it didn't go through. I mean, it's like you're basically taking away an opportunity for a Main Street business. I mean, so it's finding the line of like penalizing them, but also like incentivizing them too. And it's like how like which one do you do? But it's like you don't want to penalize them and like then they leave town and say.
Can that accountability come from something else? Like, could there be a neighborhood association that kind of says like, hey, I'm working really hard to get my business up and running, and hold people accountable that way rather than making it a monetary fine?
Peer pressure.
A little bit, yeah. It can be a positive thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Brett, what's the role of the commercial club in downtown, or, you know, Main Street? I mean, have they had discussions similar to this before?
I mean, we don't necessarily spend a lot of time talking about stuff like that. We're busy with the 4th of July all the time. But we do find it very important to have a beautiful Main Street. And that's why we teamed up with the LADC to do the planters every year, you know. They bought the boxes, we pay for the flowers and someone to plant them, and then the city comes in and waters them, you know. We do other things, we partner together with the city and the LADC to try and do what we can to just drum up a little community support, you know. Doing the car show, you know, when we didn't have it on the 4th, we did it later in the fall, and that was great, just having something to do in town, you know. And as far as the commercial club, that's our goal, is to get everybody together, you know, to see each other instead of sitting at home staring at your phone, you know. Come out and just have a little community, you know. And when you have that, you want to go out, hopefully go downtown and hope you run into somebody, you know, instead of just sitting at home. Right now, we have no reason to leave our house, you know, unless you need to get gas.
Where do clubs meet here in town?
What's that?
The commercial club?
Just any club.
You guys move around a little bit.
Yeah.
School, library?
That's where the Lions meet.
Yeah, we've met out at the golf course, we've met at mariachi, we used to meet, I don't even remember.
Been at the church a couple times.
Yeah, we met at the church.
Yeah.
You know, one great thing that the new bank in town is doing is they're gonna have a community room that local nonprofits can have events or meetings or something in, you know, and that'll be a good thing, I think, just to give
What
people.
bank is that?
Security bank,
Are they here yet, or not?
they're building down there,
Okay,
out by the high school.
okay,
You know.
all right, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. I think we used to meet at the Legion too, maybe sometimes, back in the day, a long time ago. But, I mean, there's places to meet, but, yeah, I don't know.
So does the community club and the city and the LADC, one of the things you always, I hate comparing to Sioux Falls, because I hate Sioux Falls. But they always have a first Thursday of the month or something where they have a band come in and play or something like that, to promote downtown.
Or do a show and shine on Main Street.
Something like
or
that, is
something
that
like
something that maybe as a business owners and we need to get together and put that, I know we're busy with the 4th of July, I know that, I understand that. But maybe that's something that we need to take a look at and have a first Thursday of the month or a third Wednesday of the month or whatever we wanna call it.
We've talked about it a lot,
Yeah.
you know, we've talked about it a lot.
Food truck Friday, I'm all down.
The common denominator in most of our problems, or reasons we don't do stuff, is volunteers.
Yes.
You know, there's 15 of us
Out of 100 members.
in the commercial club that do the brunt of the volunteering, we'll say. And it gets to be too much to try and do everything.
So then, okay, then let's simplify it. Every Tuesday night, I think, in Sioux Falls, the car clubs meet at Hardee's. There's no organization there, there's no nothing. And you go by there, and there's 300-400 people standing around them cars.
You know?
Or Schulte, Subaru does
So-
the coffee and cars every Saturday.
So maybe we just do a simple something, like we have a car show on Thursdays on Main Street, and we have no parking on Main Street except for show cars. Nobody has, there's no,
And then come watch the band in the park.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, then you could go watch, you could do it on Thursday nights,
Yeah.
have a show and shine on Main Street, we'll have the streets cleared, you just come in and park, you can't clear the streets, but park your,
Yeah, just
Right on
park
Main
in the
Street?
spot.
So they can't park in the center aisles, that's where there's cars, you can park inside, but you
Yeah.
can't park in the center. Maybe.
reserved for show cars, put
Yeah.
up a, little thing on Thursday morning, reserved for show cars, and then from 5 to 7, nobody has to be there, you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything, people come down, show their cars off, they wanna go to the parade, they go to church, they do whatever they wanna do.
I love that.
That's a simple thing, so all it takes is some advertising from us.
And I'm gonna kind of play Nate here for a second.
Special events.
Good, nice hat.
Yeah, well, so the problem you run into with some of this stuff is there's liability insurance you have to have for stuff like that.
It's not an organized thing, so what's the difference if they park on Main Street?
If you're advertising it, it's kinda.
What's the difference if they
organized.
park on Main Street at 12 o'clock in the day or at 7 o'clock at night? There's no difference there.
You could run an unorganized, I mean,
Yeah.
you just gotta somehow make it clear that this is all your,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if Johnny Q. Public runs over Sally, you're on your own, Johnny,
yeah,
you know.
and I'm all for that.
I understand what you're saying, but if I
But it's a little
park
bit different for if it's in the park
Yeah.
versus it's just on a.
on Main Street, just right on Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, you're not having to close a road, so
Yeah.
I don't see why it would even require a special events permit,
You
because you're
just-
not
it's a meetup.
impeding any,
And if and okay, the city doesn't promote it, what if the businesses do?
right? Yeah.
What if the businesses said, hey, come park your car in front of our property tonight? The city ain't involved with it then.
You can park in my parking lot.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, then it's the property owner, right?
Yeah.
And they're parked up, I mean, there's no, why wouldn't that work? And it doesn't have to be cars, I'm just throwing that example.
It's
Yeah.
just an easy
Yep.
one that requires less coordination.
Right.
It could be
And now all of a sudden-
Moped Mondays,
Yes,
everybody bring your
okay.
moped. Cruise around town.
That actually
Well, we
might
have
be
it
awesome.
The
Yes.
kids would do that,
Yes.
that's the thing, the kids would actually.
Yes.
Tricycle Tuesday.
Yeah, but something to start promoting it, where we're getting traffic in there, where maybe the people who have businesses that want, or properties that wanna sell them will start seeing this and say, or they'll start getting comments back saying, how come you're not getting rid of your property? Maybe the peer pressure gets to them, but not from us.
But they have to have somewhere to go, like
Yeah,
El
destination.
Mariachi would probably be, that's where all the cars are parked on Main, like around that, or, I mean, you do at the park, I mean, what are they gonna do at the park other than the municipal van? So it's, like, I
Over
think that's the
there.
thing, is like, they can go, or they go sit at the bar, I mean, obviously, the
But
bar
they-
is low hanging fruit,
But when you go to Hardee's and they sit at Hardee's, they don't go into Hardee's.
I imagine they get a Coke or something, or. I mean,
We
maybe
go there,
something.
like I said, there's 300-400 people sitting in
Yeah.
Hardee's parking lot.
The main thing is just to get people into town.
Yeah, to get them into town.
Yeah, right, right.
But then I'd
Traffic.
also like to see the people, so like, if the bar in town had a beer garden, if I was walking by on the street, I see that vibrancy versus, like, I see all the parked cars, obviously, it's a vibrant downtown, but I don't see the people, I don't
Right.
get that part of the
And
story.
like I said, maybe the car idea isn't an idea, but something to promote
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
the community.
Really, really, really.
I'd like to invite you to start coming to the commercial club meetings if you are
And we
free.
just started in January, so give us a break.
Yeah, oh, okay.
We-
Well, our first meeting is Monday,
It can't be.
February 2nd
I
or
was gonna say,
3rd.
cause Monday night we gotta make soup.
Oh,
I thought you were making soup.
soups
Yeah,
and
we gotta make
hoops.
soup.
Yeah, I gotta make soup too. It's February, first Monday in
Yeah,
February.
we gotta do soup and cheese, grilled cheese.
For
on Monday.
Thursday night?
Yeah.
Monday night,
Monday next week?
Monday night.
Okay.
It's January 30th, whenever that is.
Yeah, Monday night.
No, it's
That's
Thursday.
Thursday.
I thought she texted me and said it was Monday.
Oh, now you come with me.
See? Pretty sure it's 30th. Soups and hoops.
No, it's right here, it says next Monday. I got the text right here from,
Stefan Sweeter?
yeah, from Andrea Sweeter right here, that says,
She told me.
Next
She's
Monday.
never been wrong. I'm gonna check my email real quick.
must be the following Monday.
Not
I
that,
have it
I'm-
on Thursday on my calendar, I'm just.
that's what I think.
Thursday at 5.
What's that say right there?
Next Monday,
Thank you, glad you could help.
but then it says
I'm just-
January 30th.
Mine, look at that, I'm looking at the text I got from her.
Right, I think it is Thursday, dear.
It is Thursday. Okay, I'm glad we settled that. So if you guys want something to eat Thursday night, come to the basketball game. You don't even have to pay to come into the basketball game if you don't want to, but I think you should, because it's fun to watch. But we'll be in the cafeteria. We got, let's say, 12 different soups, competition kinda. Everybody's making it.
Yep.
It was fun last year. Hopefully we get a little more traffic this year.
So when is it, Monday or Thursday?
It's Thursday, January 30th, 5:30 to 7:30.
Texted my wife for reasons.
Soups and
You
hoops.
get after her.
I'm still
Well,
stuck
she's
on the
making
whole
soup
big
for Monday night, so I gotta let her know not to.
I don't know what kind of soup I'm gonna make yet, but
I'm putting coolant in yours.
I'd be, nope, I'm not even gonna say that, we're on camera.
Nate, is there any like plan for Main Street? I mean, is there, like, what is, I know there's a reevaluation of CIP, is that like anywhere on?
North Main is on the existing CIP, to be redone someday. I honestly think it'll.
Oh,
get
Jill's
pushed back
watching,
from what it said.
my wife's watching the meeting.
Did she say it's Thursday?
Yeah, she says I'm listening to you.
So there is a plan to, especially
Get rid of
from
anything.
Boynton to, I'd say, the railroad tracks, and possibly even all the way to First Avenue. There's some work that needs to happen there. There's
When is
one
it?
block of sanitary sewer that badly needs to be replaced. But I think that was scheduled for 28, and I just don't know if that's still realistic or not. So. And of course, anytime you're talking about these projects, you're talking about what?
Increased charges.
Main Street increase surcharges.
I haven't gone out and looked, but how's the lighting up on Main Street? Because I know a lot of those places, when they upgraded, made it more inviting, they really made it bright.
I
I'm like,
think we did that
is it,
10 years ago.
okay,
Yeah.
I haven't gone.
We
out.
were looking at, those are the last ones that need to go to LED. So
I was gonna say,
that's
they're-
probably gonna happen this this year.
They're kinda yellow,
Yeah.
I would say. They probably need to be a little more
Is it bright?
daylightish.
Go outside.
It's bright enough to see.
We just got ours updated this last week and it is bright.
That's right.
Our first week, yeah, ours is bright, it's
Yeah.
bright, baby.
But those, I think those are all set to be converted to LED this year. And those are the last ones in town.
Right on.
Oh, that'd be good.
I think we're in an exciting place where we can control the narrative and the story a little bit. At least to me, a blank canvas is exciting to be able to decide what it could be.
Yeah, I just think it's important that the LADC, the city council, the commercial club, the planning and zoning, the businesses, we all just kind of have an open dialogue and try to work together to figure something out.
Get on the same page so we're
Yeah.
not steering multiple directions.
Yep.
Is there property that can be swapped? I mean, is there, if someone's got some business on Main Street and they have it for some reason, we don't know why, but they have it and then has anybody talked to them and said like, if you had this other property, would you sell the property then?
I don't know if there's any conversations that have been had like that. When I dream with my wife about winning the $1 billion lottery, that's one of the things I, like, in my head, I'm like, you know what I would do? I would go talk to Scott and say, hey, would it be awesome if I go build you a nice, brand new place with lifts and whatever, just, not saying he doesn't fit there, but a nice new building where a building like his could maybe be used for something else. Or go talk to some people that just have an empty building, like you said, that is just full of storage or whatever. Say, hey, I'll go build you something over here if I can have you move and buy your building and make it useful. Like that, I dream about stuff like that, but I don't have the money. And I don't know that it's the city's position or purpose either to spend taxpayer money to do stuff like that. Where, you know, somebody, an organization or somebody that has a huge wad of cash could come in and do something like that. But I don't think you can just do it with existing properties. I don't think there's enough places to do that.
About building something new, I'm just saying, look, there's this property on the other side of town that's approximately the same square footage.
Like I said, I don't think we have
I think
enough
the people that are
properties to
looking
do
for it are
that.
looking for like, we would love to have a bigger space, but there's not a bigger space available for us unless we build. We don't have a membership base to be able to increase where we can afford a brand new building out on 17, or
Right.
even if we were to buy land, it's not, again, we have to live within our budget and within our means, but we would love to expand, but there's not a place available for us. So, I mean, Lennox, people, even our members would love it if we had a bigger gym, so we could have more members, but, and you know, some people won't come because it's too small, which unfortunately, that's all we can provide right now, because, I mean, possibly, there might be opportunity for us to expand back, or, which reminds me, rumor has it, that there might be, I think, since we're in the zoning meeting, the space between Sturtevant's and the laundromat is currently city-owned alley. Has Rob discussed closing that off and portioning it?
Yeah, but it's.
Where's that at? Not a, that's a dream?
That's it,
Okay.
yeah.
Not,
I don't know that
it's not
I'll-
rolling in motion.
No.
Could I push it in motion?
We are attempting
Okay.
to. I don't think just have.
I would appreciate it.
Hey,
I would
that alleyway was supposed to be paved and curb and gutter when Rob put them storage units in there. Yes.
Okay. But just to eliminate
That
it.
was part of the deal when he put them storage units in. He was supposed to curb and gutter and put pavement in there.
That was work.
Yeah. Now you guys are gonna abandon it.
What about the empty can drop-off lot? How come no one's building there?
That's parking for the
For
For
Sanford.
Sanford.
Yeah, Sanford owns that.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's parking?
For people
Yes.
park.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
parking
They
lots.
also bring like a mammogram bus in once in a
Yep.
while.
Park it.
Oh,
They
that's
also
a
do
big
that
street.
nice section as well.
Yep.
Cause, yeah, it looks like a good little block.
And even.
Do we know how many buildings are on Main Street that aren't being used as their purpose?
That are not being used as a business, like a business revenue.
Whatever the
Generating.
purpose, yeah, was supposed to be.
Oh, it'll take you a little bit.
I can make it at least
Yeah, we need to put a
four,
zoning
maybe,
map up here,
there might be
the
seven.
Stockwell.
We could. I'm not gonna ask him to do that. We do have a zoning layer on here, but I'm not gonna
Do a map.
put that specific layer.
2, 3, 4.
I wanna say 5 vacant, that we assume are vacant, within 2 blocks.
I think there's more. 'Cause the
Well,
one next to
we're not
Rogers,
counting like,
the one next to Rogers, the old beauty.
maybe
shop.
that's more what we're not sure,
Yeah.
was maybe 5. But we know there's a lot more that don't have an active
Like
retail
revenue,
operation.
Income.
Yeah.
generating.
And that's what they're supposed to.
There's lots of residential on Main Street. Couldn't somebody buy a house and build a business there, if you rezone?
Just this one
Rezone?
house?
Because it'd be residential now, it's not, business district, but
So have,
Like the antique shop, it's a house, but.
oh.
Yeah.
well,
But it's-
you got all
Well,
Is
Main
it
we-
zoned as a house residential or is it zoned as commercial?
I think it's zoned residential, it's zoned multifamily.
Okay,
And it's not, I mean, I'm not sure when that was last active. but,
yeah, I don't know.
It's just rental units at this point, but that's one thing we typically try to discourage, just pop-up zoning, what we call spot zoning, because it's just not consistent with use patterns, and, if somebody on West Second decided, well, I'm gonna open up a restaurant, we would not recommend approval of that zoning request, because that's not the right fit.
I'm just thinking about Main Street.
Right, I mean, you got,
If there was a random house in between businesses, then it's a maybe. But, I mean, there's a pretty distinct line from
Business, yeah.
business to residential, so it would be,
except.
Example would be the apartment building next to Mariachi. I don't know, it doesn't look the most inviting, but I haven't really been inside there, but if that owner sold that property to a business person, could they build a business there? I mean, would that be favorable or not? Because it's right next to it's a good location. It's next to the school, it's next to a restaurant.
There's just inconsistencies on Main Street. I mean, you got commercial, light industrial, the park with residential, and then commercial again, and then residential, and then business district and residential on the north end. I mean, it's like a cookie cutter.
Yeah, like the
Back and
concrete
forth.
apartments over by the fields. That looks like a good place for business. You know what I'm talking about? Which
Oh,
one?
south of the.
that
Yeah,
old
it's-
motel.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
But we need the apartments too, I mean, people are always looking for
I'm
places.
saying getting rid of housing isn't the,
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think you're talking. just
Seven,
the
7
three
or 8
blocks.
that were just
yeah.
really unsure of what's actually,
The main 3 blocks of, the main 3 stop signs.
yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting is what Main Street is.
yeah.
Kind of like right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's around us, how can we open it, how can we make it inviting for people to come in and start a business for the high school, because whatever business, what can we do to help? Great ideas, the car show, all that stuff's great ideas, but they park on Main Street, there's nothing to go in, nothing to open,
Yeah, it'll last for a couple weeks and then,
what's the
or
point?
months, and then it's like, well, heck, there's
We're
nothing to
here
do. Yeah, there was nothing to do, so we're not going anymore.
So, yeah, that's just what I'm picking up, is we need to figure out we can do with the 3 blocks we have, how we can make that more inviting to businesses to open up, because, again, when Lewis left, it really seemed like there was nothing left on uptown, there's no action, no traffic.
Yeah.
They didn't leave town, they just relocated. Well, if everybody relocates to Highway 17, then what's the point of having Main Street? So again, we want to drive them through town with all the streets and all the infrastructure that we've done in place. And again, that's just what I'm understanding when reading
Well,
it.
why did they relocate to 17?
Probably more space.
More space,
Oh, okay.
better building.
I don't think that building was very good
No, it's probably worse.
The guy who used to have it probably did it run down.
It's fine for me.
But like the
Oh, I was talking about.
sunshine.
Oh, sunshine? Oh,
Sunshine.
oh, so you'll lose just fine. Yeah.
What about the lot at Third and Main, the gravel lot?
Yeah, it's something that LEDC is working on acquiring.
I see.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really good location. I mean, it's a really big lot. It's-
Oh, yeah. I
that's-
know what you're talking
It's like the empty lots, you don't even realize that they're there. I mean, it's,
Well, originally,
it's,
There
City
again,
Hall
City
Annex,
Hall.
wasn't
we
it?
go back to the whole there, he won't
I
sell.
remember it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember when the carnival downtown.
We had the agreement in his hand, and he wouldn't sign it.
You need to offer him $1 more.
I don't think money's the problem.
Nope, money's not an issue with this.
No, you can't win that.
Well, I think it goes back to the same theory, they think they got gold, in reality it's just stifling Main Street.
I don't know what it was, he told us to draw it up and everything, we sent him over the paperwork, and he never signed it.
You ever ask him why he backed out?
Have you ever talked to him?
No.
Okay.
Personally, I've only been in town for about 8 years now, so I don't know everybody that owns the other some of the buildings that are empty. So I guess I could look them up, but I would just encourage, if you know any of them, just to talk to them, see what the plans are, or if they have no plans, tell me who they are and I'll go talk to them. I don't know. I have no problem sitting down and talking with anybody, but I feel like we've been spinning our wheels, you know, since I've gotten involved, started going to the planning meetings and all that. You know, we've pretty much talked this stuff into the ground. It's time to
Take some action.
either take action or give up, you know, and I'm not one to give up, so hopefully we can find a way to talk with people and get something figured out, so we can.
What was the first step?
Yeah, first step's just talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, acknowledging there's an issue.
One of the cool, I mean, I know you guys are planning on upgrading the look and feel of the bank.
I bet, yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, those are the things that we wanna see. We wanna see that reinvestment in the existing buildings. But whether it's a current owner or a new owner, that's what we're wanting to see. Because that's what draws people. The willingness to invest in a downtown is what draws people. You know, it is kind of a build it, they will come deal, but it's more than that too. They have to have a reason to come there, they have to have a reason to stay there.
Yeah. There's not a lot of reasons to stay. I mean, you mentioned it. It's like, there's not a lot of reasons to go down there and stay down there. Other than El Mariachi, which is even the 3-block business district that we're actually even focused on right now.
I mean, when you leave the gym, you don't wanna go have a taco.
That's exactly where you wanna go.
Crazy.
Protein for that.
You go to the gym, so you can have it.
That's
That's your get out of jail.
Yeah.
I went to the gym, now I can go have tacos.
Yeah.
There's lettuce and tomatoes on them, I'm telling you, vegetables.
Oh, it's healthy.
Right,
Yeah,
there you go.
it's healthy.
But that business is a perfect example. I remember when they talked about bringing the gym to town, people were like, that'll never work. Cause the other one didn't work, nobody, but it's still here, so.
And I think that's just it, is I think, like, even when we took over the gym, like 6 years ago, it was run down to the ground. I mean, there was minimal members, and we have revived that and brought it back to life, and done well, I feel, like, now, we would love to grow bigger, but we can't quite yet. But again, some of the places just need a little love and TLC put into them, and then
Yes.
it will make it, and they will come, you know? So sometimes it does work out.
I mean, Lennox residents are homebodies. I mean, I do truly believe, yes, some people believe that it's like we're just a backpack town where we get our groceries in Sioux Falls. We do everything in Sioux Falls. We'll pick up food and bring it back. But it's like, okay, El Mariachi is kind of proof of the pudding, and Chuck's is kind of proof as well. And Ace, I mean, there's a lot of reasons of like people want to invest in the town, and that's why obviously we're all here is because we care about the town. And so it's like, I think there's definitely opportunities. Just giving the opportunity or making the opportunity or incentivizing it is a big thing.
Yeah, Ace isn't expanding because they aren't selling anything.
Right.
Right.
And it's, you know, we were told, I couldn't tell you how many times, oh, Mexican restaurant will never happen. It can't happen, it can't work. Chuck's will change hands in a year and a half. It's been 4 years. Chuck's is going great. The restaurant is doing very well. Was back on the way from the high school to here tonight. And I think we're at a point where we can make these things happen. We just have to, we gotta take some action.
There is excitement when you see like remodeling or
Oh, yeah.
facade improvements on a building or a business.
Yeah, because
In
we'll
town.
be doing a whole revamp of the building, so it's gonna create some curiosity in
Yeah,
town.
exactly.
As soon as
Curiosity
you
is
have
the perfect way of
As soon
putting
as
it.
you have a building permit placard in your window, we'll start getting calls about it.
Yeah, well, we did for the roof even,
Yep, that's
and
right.
we already have people asking, what's that?
So we just need to put building permits in every window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a building permit. You get a building permit.
Hey, brother.
Right. Well, again, tonight wasn't meant to be any formal action to be taken. I think our next meeting will probably have more discussion for the planning commission on what you took away from tonight and what you're hearing and what kind of steps you want to take in a certain direction. I think in between now and then, obviously, if anybody's got more input, you always kind of know where to find us all, so. Anything else?
If nobody has anything else,
A second.
we got a motion and a second.
Who was the motion?
I was, sorry,
To
I mumbled
adjourn.
it. I don't know why.
Anything else? All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Thanks, Andy. I forgot you were even there.
10 hours to follow along, but good conversation.
Did you fall asleep? Oh,
Can you
yeah.
hear me? No, it was pretty hard to follow along, but good conversation.